Welcome to another episode of WHOIS, guys. Today we're doing things slightly a bit differently. We're gonna have Sane interviewing me instead because I feel like a lot of people they know what I do and a few bits and bobs, but they don't actually know me as a person. So, yeah, man, I'll hand it over.
Yeah, man. Hi, guys. It's my first time on cam. Normally I'm behind the camera, so it's kind of weird being in front. But I guess we'll just get straight into it and ask the first question. Like, who is? Well, you kind of have two titles because you go by 7PG, which is your brand name.
Yeah.
And then you Prince Gamma, which is just who you are. Who is Prince Gamma?
I guess to say at least I'm a videographer. I own a videography business, which is what most people, like you said, know me by, 7PG. And then, I just do other stuff on the side as well, whether that be like content creation or like even just like stuff that's work related, but that's not necessarily to do with 7PG.
Yeah.
It's like social media management, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just a bit about me.
But yeah, fair enough. And how did you get into the creative space? Because obviously, I've known Prince for years, and when we met, we were still in uni, and you weren't doing videography. You were doing cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And how did you find going from, getting a degree in something that you weren't doing to like doing what you're doing now?
To be honest, it was kind of one of those things, right? The classic, like, you grow up with African parents, they tell you, right, go to a STEM degree. So on and so forth. I went to Cali, got my STEM degree, which is cybersecurity.
Yeah.
But I've always loved like kind of like photography, videography, like in films especially and TV shows. Like I used to watch like TV. To the point where my parents would be like, "Yo, like, I'm gonna take this thing off if you keep watching so much." Like I'd be watching films, TV all the time. Like especially like some stuff like Cartoon Network, like back in the day, Nickelodeon, like just little like children stuff, but even more to like actual actual movies where it's like stuff like Inception, like things that are a bit more thoughtful, a bit more complicated. And then slowly I kind of bought my first camera when I got my first job. Just started taking photos and like just posting them on Instagram, and people got to the point where like I started to make a name for myself for posting like back then it was mostly like fashion stuff, like back when it was like the Hypebeast, Supreme, Palace, that sort of stuff. We're just posting stuff like that, and I was posting stuff like that throughout uni to the point where when I finished uni, I was actually making enough money from people having messaged me being like, "Oh, we see that you're doing photography on Instagram. Do you do paid work, and I was having enough of those sort of thing, like people coming in to the point where I could actually make it a business. I'm very fortunate to, because I obviously the plan was to get a cybersecurity degree and then like obviously go to get a grad scheme or whatever, that sort of thing, but I never actually went to, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't go into that because I don't think I would even enjoy that in the first place. Like even if you take out 7PG, but I feel like I would have eventually gone to something else anyway.
Fair enough. And like that whole period, like how did you go from, because I'm in that kind of situation just now where I'm not working, I'm doing the music more full time than I am like working a normal job. How did you find that transition from like you having steady income to then just, because obviously like with creative industries it's not simple, it's not as if like if you don't work, bro, you don't eat.
You ain't making
money. So how did you realize that, I can actually do this, and how did that kind of planning process go?
I think to be honest it was very gradual. Like obviously you know yourself that like even throughout uni I was working at JD and just retail in general. So like I then, when I finished uni, instead of getting like a grad scheme and stuff I was talking about, I then said, right, okay, I'm gonna do like 3-4 shifts at JD, like a week, do that, and then like the other 3 days I then spend like doing my creative process, like whether that be making money from photography, videography, or even just like working on projects myself so that I can post to Instagram. And then I just slowly dropped the amount of shifts that I was doing, the more and more money that I was consistently making. But like you said, like there were months where, bro, like I'd go to JD, because the thing is JD was basically just to pay my bills. So I still had to kind of make more money on top of that to then even like
have a lifestyle.
Exactly, like go out and do stuff with friends and that sort of stuff. So yeah, bro, there was times where like JD money was the only money I was getting. Like there was no shoots. But I'm sitting there looking at cash and thinking, yo, once I pay my bills,
that's huge,
bro. That's it. I'm rice
and beans.
I'm telling you, like tomato ketchup and rice for dinner. Do you know what I mean? So, but I was fortunate enough that like I didn't have too many of those, and I think it got to a certain point where like, what was it? I think end of 2022. I want to say, but I just got to a point where I was just like, I'm fed up doing like 2-3 days like retail and then doing my other stuff. And I just took the leap. Granted, I'll be honest, it was a terrible thing to do. I'll be honest, terrible. I don't regret it, but it was just off. Like I shouldn't have. I think I just jumped the gun because I was like, bro, at this point I'm making half decent money. I can probably build this up to something. And I was fortunate enough that I landed on my feet when I did take that leap,
Mm-hmm.
but it could have gone very left because
Yeah.
I didn't have anything. Obviously, I was making the money from videography, but it still wasn't necessarily enough to necessarily make like a
For
proper
living.
living. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was difficult. I'll be honest.
I can imagine, bro, because even like I'm in that stage where I'm in a similar place where you were,
Yeah.
where it's like I was doing the retail thing and trying to balance the lifestyle, and it is hard, man. It's like you get to a point where you're like, when you're doing your regular job, you're like, bro, I could actually be putting all this energy and time into my
100%.
like field,
Literally.
and I'm sitting here and standing about waiting for a customer to come and tell me how he doesn't like his
Asking like,
outfit.
what do you have this in stock when you?
Do you get what? Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I completely understand it. And I feel like with the timing of everything as well, like, do you feel like at the time, would you have, looking back now, would you have waited a bit longer, like knowing that if you knew the way things were going to pan out, would you have waited longer, or would you have still taken the leap?
Yeah, I think the leap was, as much as it was a bad move for me, I think it was a necessary one.
Yeah,
because it was like, I wouldn't have. The reason why I'm actually even to the point where I am today is because I said, right, okay, I left retail completely. Yeah. So it was like, well, now I have to make it work. I don't have a choice, because now I have nothing to fall back on. So if I don't make it work, bro, I'm homeless. I've got no roof over my head. I'm making no money. I'm not eating. Do you know what I'm saying?
You're not doing nothing.
And that's kind of what got me into, even, we'll obviously talk about it later, but the content I was posting during that time, which got me to the followers and da-da-da, which then brought on more opportunities later down the line. Yeah. So I wouldn't say, if I went back, I wouldn't change it, but I'd definitely say to people, like, just, if someone was trying to do it, I'd say just be mindful of, even if you just have to have a few saving for a month or two, just so you can at least pattern yourself up.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Something like that. That's what I was saying about.
No, that's wise. That's very, very wise. So in terms of the content then, so like when you were reaching that point where you were like, I'm actually gonna start trying to do this by myself and you know, really go for this business, what was the kind of content you were doing at the time, and how has that changed since then?
So when I first started doing, like, back when I was in uni, it was mostly just kind of like the fashion stuff, like I was saying, just a bit more of that. And then like, see, when I would get a shoot, like, let's say someone had said, we need someone to shoot, like, let's say a club event, I'd just be posting stuff. I'd basically be posting like any shoots I got. I'd just say, okay, I'm gonna post some stuff up from that. I'm gonna post some stuff up that I was still doing my friends of fashion stuff, and even just go out and just go take photos of other stuff. Like, let's say, for example, the other day there's like there's an Adidas event. I would take my camera to events like those and like take photos and stuff like that, and just post them up online. And then obviously when I left retail, I then said, okay, I'm gonna actually try and be a bit more of like I'm a content creator, videographer type content, where it's like I'm talking about things I've struggled with, or like showing tutorials on how to do certain things, like in the videography, like let's say like how to do certain effects for music videos and all that sort of stuff. And I did that a lot. Like, I was really posting. Like, I was
pushing that.
Do you know what I mean? Like content. 2-3 days. Like, was like 2 reels a day. I'd literally wake up, go to the gym if I could, but sometimes I wouldn't even go to the gym. I'd just wake up straight, have breakfast, and get straight to it. Like, maybe write a script for a reel, and then film the reel, edit it. Oh, no, sorry, and then do that again, and then edit both of them and post like twice in the day or something like that. And it did well. It did really well. Like, I think a lot of the progress I made last year was easily attributed to that. Do you know what I mean? Like, gain what? Like, I was literally getting to a point where I was getting 1,000 followers a day. No, not 1,000 followers a week. Do you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
So, like, in the space of, like, 6 weeks, I went from, like, maybe 2K followers to, like, 12,000. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, it was, like, the content was working. It's the content, you can easily say, was working. But, bro, I just hated the content, I'll be honest. Like, it just got to a certain point where I was putting so much time and effort, and I was seeing the fruit of my labor, but even despite all the things the positive things I was seeing from the work, I just didn't like it, man. Like, I literally wake up and just feel dread that I have to go and do this reel.
What was it about it that you didn't like? Was it more that the content didn't align with what you wanted, or did you didn't want to, like, just be closed off to that specific set of content? Because I'm aware that sometimes as a content creator you don't want to be boxed in. Yeah. So what was that the reason?
I think both. I think a bit of both. Like, when I started doing it, I'd never done content before. So when I started doing it, I was like, okay, like, this could be an interesting thing it was just something new, something to try out. So I said, okay, like, and I for the first while I was enjoying it. And I was like, actually, no, this is pretty fun. And even the progression of seeing yourself getting better and better with the content, and obviously seeing it do well, you're obviously gonna be happy about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, nobody's gonna be like, oh, what the hell. But the more I did, the more I was like, you know what? One, this doesn't really align with what I actually want to do in the future. When I started thinking about actually, okay, like let's say now that I'm actually getting 1,000 followers a week, what could I actually do with that in terms of like financially?
Yeah.
And I started realizing, actually, wait, the only way I can actually really make money from this is if I start selling courses or like start selling like editing packs or that sort of thing. But that's not how I want to make money.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, wait, hold up. So does it actually make sense to continue doing this style of content? Probably not, I'll be honest. Like, because the content itself, like, I actually did enjoy making it, like, in terms of the actual process of doing it. Like, I enjoyed it. And it's something that I would still be open to do, but it just wouldn't be for myself.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
it's like, say someone said, okay, like, we want you to be a presenter on a show or something, or to like show tutorials on behalf of our separate business, no problem. But I think the direction I take with 7PG is a bit more like, I just want to do more like big budget shoots, and that's just the main focus, like big budget shoots, and that's that. Nothing to do with me, nothing to do with any one particular person. We're just showing the work that we do.
Yeah.
If people like the work, they can follow and they can hire us, and that's it.
Fair enough.
So that's kind of why I ended up pivoting away from that in the end.
That makes sense. To be fair, that makes sense because again, it is like even myself, I can relate with the whole, because I used to post covers, and it would get to a point where I'm just like, can't lie, like I want to do my own thing. I want to do other things. And I remember the time actually when you were posting the reels, and like 1 week you'd be on 2K, and then the next week it was like 5K, and I was like, damn, this
is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous. And the growth is good, but then I understood, because at the same time, someone in your position could have been like, why would you stop? Like, keep going, get to like at least 60K, and then, you know. But at the same time, like, as much as it is content creation and it looks glamorous, it's I would argue and say some content creation roles are harder than a regular 9 to 5.
You say so, yeah.
Yeah, just because I feel like with the amount of work, not a lot of people understand the amount of work and the how much goes into our crafts.
Yeah.
Because it's like, cool, all you see is him pick up a camera and like shoot a few things and edit it, but that process in itself is a very long process.
Yeah,
like,
I'd say it's hard. It's harder 9 to 5 trying to get into.
Yeah,
but I think once you're actually in it, it's probably maybe not as hard as maybe we'd imagine it to be.
Oh yeah, no. I think at the stage we're at just now, I would say it's harder than 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But I feel like once you've got like some motion and you've got some,
you get consistent.
Yeah, you get some consistent
like
work. It's not as hard as it looks. I still think there is hard times, but I don't think it's as hard as like a regular day job.
Yeah.
But fair enough. And with 7PG, like you mentioned, big budget shoots. Like, what is your goals with that? Then what would you like to? How far would you like to take?
I'll be honest. I feel like I'm someone who's very like, I'm all about excellence. So for me, 7PG needs to resemble, like, everything I do needs to resemble that idea for me, that of excellence. Yeah. So for 7PG, I want realistically, in my ideal world, I just want to make the best visuals I can possibly make with the money that I have at my disposal, or the resources I have at my disposal, even if it's not necessarily money. So that's kind of the direction I do. So I guess that typically what that look like is maybe like some big shoots that is like a bit more like we're spending a few days on set, or like a few days doing certain things. There's a big team, like let's say me, myself, like obviously yourself, let's say even like our friends as well, like who do other stuff like creative action, like Zyme, so on and so forth. All of us actually creating big bodies of work that go on like bigger platforms than just like social media. And I don't say that to be like social media is bad or anything, but I think I want to pivot away from just doing social media work. Because I just feel like it's just not very, to me, it's just not very satisfying. Or even if it goes on social media, I'm okay with that, but I feel like the work needs to be of a certain level for me to be like, okay, this is what I feel like 7PG status would be. Do you know what I mean? And funny enough, I actually want to move to LA because, and I know this.
Here we go.
Every single podcast episode, I swear, I talk about leaving this place, but
not even in the podcast, guys. Everywhere.
Who was it that said? I think it was this. Someone said I'm the number one UK hair or something. I can't remember.
Probably Jeremy.
He said, yeah, I'm the number one UK hair. But
he is.
I don't know. It's just like when I see what they're doing out there, the videographers, what they're doing out there, bro, it's just next level. And don't get me wrong, like you can still get those same things in London and in like other like places in the UK. But I just feel like, bro, the level of work that these guys are working at is insane. Like they're doing shoots, and it's not even about the brands or the companies per se. It's just more like the type of work. Like even 247, they're not necessarily like your Gucci or your Adidas or whatever. But bro, these guys are like able to hire out like even a venue like this, shoot some really cool campaigns of like their products like over there, and like really set up an actual set and actually make like stuff that you look and be like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Like, that's pretty. Don't get me wrong, you can still do that with all the stuff that I do now, but it's not quite the same. It's not quite the same type of work that I want to get to with 7BG eventually. So that's kind of where I want to take.
And would you still be like, in what kind of fields I'm just thinking, are you still talking about music videos, film, TV? Like, what aspect would you want to, like, because you've done a lot of music videos here.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know you for your music videos.
For the music videos, yeah.
But is that, like, when you talk about big budget, is it more big budget music videos or big budget, like, what kind of things are you looking to do?
I think the two main things that I feel like I would want to do is like music and fashion. So let's say, for example, like, you know, Downright, for example. Yeah. So they do basically kind of what they're doing right now. That's kind of the level that I want to take at where it's like
they're doing insane work.
Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, they're one of the people who I first saw when I was doing that content I was talking about. I got in touch with them and they were on like maybe like 7K or something, and I was really messing with their work even back then. So now to see them like they're like 8K and they're doing like shoots with some of the biggest names in the industry. And doing some, just even if it's not the big names, but just doing some really cool shoots, like stuff that you look and be like, whoa, that's cool, regardless of who it is that they're shooting with. So fashion and music, that's kind of the two things. I don't mind doing music videos, but the problem is, I think, like, for me to do music videos now, I feel like the client has to be willing to let me be more creative, like, actually let me, like, because I think the thing is, I don't mind doing music videos if the plan already by default is good, or if they let me actually, like, tweak some things and, like, I put my own creative spin on it, basically. Because I think the problem with music videos that I don't like is that I feel like they tend to be very rigid. People know what they want, and that's fine, but then the problem is, if it's something that I don't think is that good, it's hard for me to, like, delve into. It's hard for me to really, like, invest myself into. Whereas fashion is pretty straightforward. Like, even if they come up with a plan that I'm not necessarily messing with per se, the visuals can still look pretty sick and pretty fun and pretty. And typically speaking, the shoots just tend to be a bit more straightforward. Or not even necessarily straightforward, but they tend to be just a bit more like, just more fun. To me. Like, music videos, like, again, they can be a bit crazy, hectic, and that can be cool on camera. But see, trying to shoot that, the behind the scenes, it can get very stressful. You're traveling back and forth to certain locations. You're shooting a bunch of takes, this and that, and it can end up just being a bit of a long process sometimes, and especially then when you take them to the fact that it's rigid. Like, if it was rigid, and I say the client doesn't want any scope in anything, I then kind of get to the point I'm like, okay, you know what, not really.
So I wanted to go back to the LA thing, because, like, you've unpacked a little bit about like why you want to move there, and like the scales of the things that they do over there is like, obviously you're blown away by it. Do you feel like you couldn't do any of that here?
I could. I think I could, and I think that's why, for example, like, a lot of my friends have told me I should go check out London. I should go try and do stuff in London. And I think even Don Prod, for example, they're testament to the fact that you can do it. Do you know what I mean? But I just think that it's just harder, in my opinion. I'll be honest. Like, it's just, bro, there's literally videographers I've followed from America, and then I don't even make it exclusive to America, because I feel like this is just a universal thing. But America specifically is like the best example of that, where it's like, bro, these guys will start at the same time as me, and when I see what they're doing now, it's like, whoa. Just the ability to scale up the ladder there is just so much quicker and so much quicker than it is here. And it makes sense, because realistically there's just more people to see your stuff, first of all, and there's just more money circulating in a place like America specifically. So it's like you can see how people can get it's like further faster. Do you know what I mean?
And I've actually spoke to shout out Patsy, because I was speaking to her about this, because when she was in America not that long ago, she was talking about how the culture over there is so different when it comes, especially in a creative sense. Like, 100%, the culture over there, like, everyone's willing to support you. And she's not the only person that spoke to me about this. Spoke to Kimono as well. Shout out to him as well. And he was like, bro, you go to an event, you tell people what you do, people are ready to work with you just off of just knowing what you do. And I'm not saying this like I'm speaking from experience, because I'm not here. Do you know, I've never been, but I mean, but based off how everyone else has came back and has said the same thing about how the creative scene over there is more inclusive and everyone's willing to work with you. Have you experienced anything like that over here? And if not, what do you think that is?
I like to experience inclusivity, or I mean, that's the thing. I feel like Manchester, for example, like, every time I speak to Manchester, to me, is probably the closest thing I can imagine to what the US scene is like.
Yeah.
Like every time I go to Manchester, or I speak to people who are like in the Manchester scene, bro. They're always so receptive. Like even the trip that me, you, Simon, and Idris went to. Like, really, think about it, one of the biggest studios in Manchester. Untitled. We messaged him, said, "Oh, can we come see the space?" Because we're obviously trying to do work there at the time. Only for them to be like, "Yeah, by all means." And not only that, but then the owner himself to actually even show us the place, one, and then also even just be, again, really receptive to be like, "So what you guys are doing?" Like, "Oh, okay, so you do da da da. Right, nice. Here's my details. If you ever need any help with this da da da, let us know." And even the owner of Drama Call, like the clothing brand, Charlie, he was up in Glasgow for a pop up one time, and me and Chino were just chatting to them, and again, they were even saying like they literally invited us to again an Adidas event the next week, like a skateboarding thing that they were doing and stuff. So it just goes to show that like it's not that it's not possible. It's definitely possible. Like I think Manchester for me is probably one of the best examples of that, and I think even Glasgow can be, depending on the circle, it can also be good for that. Like I think people up here are also willing to work together depending on who you are and like certain circumstances. But it's a lot more inclusive than I feel like places like London are, which is where it's like that's where it's like you need to fight like a dog to even get your name even mentioned, yet alone actually get some work or anything on top of that. Based on what I've seen and based on what I've experienced, you know what I mean? So,
and you don't see yourself like you wouldn't see yourself building your brand here. Would you prefer to build it in LA?
Yeah, so I mean even out with business, like I just think I'm more suited to that sort of lifestyle. Even just like out with 7PG and out with like the other stuff that I do work wise. Like I just like the idea of being in a more sunny environment, more just kind of like bigger city, like that kind of beach vibe, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's not even a case of that I couldn't build my brand here. I think I could, but I think it would take me a lot longer, and it would be in an environment where I don't really want to be in the first place anyway. Yeah. So then it's kind of like, well, I might as well just bypass all that and just go straight there. Yeah. Because that was the plan initially, to be like, okay, let me go to London, Manchester, network with some people, and I still want to do that. Like I still want to make connections and make friends there. Like I do think people are doing some cool things there, here, there, and those sort of places. Yeah. And nurture those friendships and stuff. But for me to actually live and actually like build my business, I think I'd probably just be better off in the US. Fair enough. At least in LA specifically. Yeah. Probably a better way.
And I feel like the more you speak about it, the more I hear it, because I get sent. You send me all the LA TikToks, and the more I'm like, you know what, I do hear it, because it's not even just like business wise. It's even just lifestyle wise, like you said. Yeah. Like I can't lie to you. Like, hey, the weather over here is terrible. Bro. Do you know what I mean? It's like just like the little things like that do make a difference, and they do. And I feel like they also do impact on the level of output you can give.
There we go.
Do you get what I'm saying? So, like, seasonal depression is a very real thing. I actually never used to believe in it, because I was just like, bro, just get up and do what you need to do. But do you know what I mean? Like, just get to work, bro. But seasonal depression is genuinely a thing. But I wanna get away from the 7PG side of stuff now and just actually get to know you personally. What's one thing that you feel like people don't know about you that you think is like, you know, people should, or if they meet you, they should know about you?
Like they should know about me, kind of, if they see me, kind of thing.
Yeah. Because I imagine like I've been around you and people just they just know you're 7PG. Yeah. So like, what's one thing that you want to like? How do people separate you from 7PG? Like getting to know you.
I think I have quite a role to play in that, because I feel like the way I set myself up initially was to be like that, where it's like I'm the videographer. The same way that I got the videographers in Glasgow, like their videography work is tied to them as a person. Yeah. But I think I kind of want to move away from that, because I'm like, similar to the content that I was talking about even as well, like I have interests other than business and stuff, and outside of me doing work and stuff. And I think a lot of people, they just see me and they see someone who's obviously works quite a bit and stuff. And I don't mind that. I'm okay with that. But then I also want to show more of like the kind of like other sides of myself, where it's like I like to go out and do stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? Like me and you, 2021, 2022, we're just constantly skating and doing other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, or even just like, I don't know, like I like going out and having fun and traveling and stuff like that. Like these are things that I feel like people don't really know or see about me up until recently, when I actually started posting content on my personal page. Yeah. Which is when people actually so you like to travel, so you like to do other things like that, or you're into fashion. Fair enough, that sort of thing. So Yeah.
Yes. So like even the recent series you started doing on your Instagram page,
Yeah.
the building $1 million business at the age of, it was 24, but someone got old.
Sky man. I'll tell you, I'm still early 20.
You actually forgot the other day. I was actually thinking, oh yeah, Prince is 25 now.
Ish, man.
Damn.
I can't even say I'm early 20.
Do you feel like your prefrontal lobe is developed now? Like,
yeah, I woke up and I just went, yeah. I'm older now.
I'm older now.
I'm not even laughing. I should stop laughing. My prefrontal cortex is loaded.
Nah, but yeah. So like the whole building $1 million business, that's not on the 7PG page. It's more on your actual like your personal page.
Yeah.
And you just show like snippets of like your like where you get up to, like what you do, what you eat, your gym life, stuff like that. Would you ever get into like more of like a personal like content kind of thing where you kind of do show more of just like who you are as a person? Yeah. And like what would you hope to achieve from that?
So yeah, that's kind of what my angle is with my YouTube. Like I posted 3 videos up on there, and like granted, obviously it is a lot of business related stuff, because for example, like one of the videos is based around a trip that I went to for work to do a shoot in Marbella. So that is technically work, but at the same time, in those videos my aim is to kind of just show a bit more of me as a person, as opposed to just like obviously I'm showing the stuff I'm doing in the business, but like also just like you said, show what I'm into, like the sort of stuff that I just enjoy. And then my aim is just to kind of, I don't know, like I think one is to separate me from the business, because I feel like right now I'm too currently tied to the business to the point where it's like I want to be known as the owner of 7PG as opposed to I am 7PG. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That's one. And then 2 as well, I don't know, I just feel like I just like documenting like what I'm doing. Even if worst comes to worst, even if nobody sees it, but just to be able to look back and say, oh mad, like that time I went to Portugal, I've got those videos and the photos or whatever on my Instagram. That time like we did I went go-karting or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just nice to have that documentation to say, like for me, Instagram, I don't like how it's turning into one of those like I don't know what to call it, like golden slates. Because I feel like Instagram initially started off like back when, well, we're showing our age now, but back when it first kind of started, it was a bit more like you just literally, we just posted 4 of us doing this.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And stories are still like that, but I feel like posts now are very much like everything's so polished and so like pristine. And don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of that too. Do you know what I mean? But
unless you have a spam account,
I'm saying but at the same time, I kind of want to move away from that and actually just post like just me doing stuff. Like even my latest stamps, I'm trying to incorporate a bit more of that, just like stuff that might not necessarily be aesthetically pleasing or be like, oh, that's really hard, but it's just like just random stuff I'm doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that sort of thing. So I feel like if I was to put an aim to it, it's just to kind of like for people to show people that's okay to let loose. Yeah, like we don't need to, especially again, one of the reasons why I don't like the UK as much, because it's kind of stoosh mentality, or that kind of like, I don't know what the word is, but stoosh mentality is what the best way to say it, where people try to show front.
It's more like, I feel like with the it's funny because my pastor talks about this a lot, about how people, like, if you even mention something that you've accomplished, or like you show something that's a bit different from the status quo, people are quick to shut you down and be like, well, why are you getting all big headed, or like,
oh, you're hard,
why are you, do you know what I mean? And I feel like it's not even just, I think it's more of a UK thing in general, because
for sure,
like you experience it up here down south, like people are too scared to branch out, and even when they do branch out, it's like only if other people are rating you do then you get your validation,
bro, like it's
because
bad,
bro, I've experienced that even though it's like on a small scale. It's just like initially posting videos and like posting like beats and stuff, bro, nobody was rating it. And then up until like you get a few names under your belt that people actually respect, people then start being like, oh, so you're actually kind of hard, like, bro, like, do you know what I mean? And it's I feel like it can very much like take away from especially people who are trying to did you hear that? Not bro, so they're whispering at the end. But people who are trying to get into these kind of spaces, I remember when someone asked me at the end of the day, they were like, oh bro, I want to start making beats, like how do I start making beats? And then one of the final things I said, obviously I gave him a bit of advice, but one of the final things I said is like, bro, you're not gonna, it's not gonna bang from day one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard, but like once you start getting to a point where you're good, just keep going.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one thing that I'm glad, and I'm glad. I think you're the same. You're glad that you kept going, because
100.
your first couple of shoots probably nobody was rating it, because
Cheeks, bro.
do you know what I'm saying?
Cheeks,
probably nobody was rating it, but now like you're in demand. You're one of the, in my opinion. Hey, in my opinion, if you disagree, that's between you and God, innit? One of the best videographers in the city. Shout out to all the other ones, but like I remember that time we went to sorry, this is a tangent, right?
Where were we?
Do you remember that time we went to, it was Pence's his EP, first EP drop.
Yeah, his listening part. Yeah.
In Edinburgh, and I remember I don't even know the other photographers' names that were there, but if you remember, if you're watching this, I apologize, innit? But I remember you weren't even shooting, Zyme wasn't shooting, and we were just showing support. And I remember there was a bunch of photographers taking photos. There was like 3 or 4 or 5, and the only other person there that I knew of was Andrew, made by Andrew. And I remember I said this out loud, but I didn't think anybody was going to hear me other than you and Zyme. And I said, can't lie, nobody with a lens is touching used to. This guy this guy that was a photographer heard me, was an earshot, heard me, turned around, instantly started taking photos.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? It was hilarious, bro. It was so funny. But in my head, I was just thinking, I'm like, again, no disrespect. I wasn't trying to disrespect no one, but I've seen the work that you guys do, and I've always admired it. I don't know where I was going with that, but I just thought I'd put that in there. But anyways, what other interests would you like to showcase in terms of like your content as Prince Gamma? I
think that one of my latest things is fitness. Like, I think I've always been somewhat of a fitness journey, like on and off, like throughout my whole life. Because since I started like hitting gym, basically, like when I was like 16, 17, 18, I used to be mad skinny. Like I'm talking like see this thing here, like this is size my arm at one point in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like I was crazy skinny. So I've always wanted to be a bit bigger in general, anyway. And I've always kind of like slowly been getting bigger and bigger as time goes on. But and I don't really care to document it, but I was like, you know what? Again, similar to how I was saying about like letting loose and even just showing people different sides of me. I thought, you know what, it could actually be interesting to document that. Yeah. To show my progress. And I think even as well, just keep myself accountable. Like I feel like one of the best ways to keep yourself accountable is to actually like make content. Because then if you're making consistent content or something, then one day you just stop, whatever. People are gonna be, oh, you fell off or something. And I'm not saying that's good, but at the same time,
yeah, but it holds you up.
Do you know what I mean? Like you then be like, oh, okay, well, because I've been doing all this content for that time, I don't want to then fall off after I've been for 3 years. You make consistent content about gym, and then obviously you just stop, kind of thing. So yeah, fitness is definitely a big one for me. And even as well, like I want to set myself some challenges, fitness wise. I kind of like I'm someone who's I strive for, again, quote unquote excellence. So for me, just becoming like my best physical self, and even just like set myself some challenges. Like remember we did 75 hard, for example.
Yeah, we did 75 hard.
That sort of stuff like that.
That was long.
Yeah, nah. And the thing is, remember when we tried to do it again, and it just didn't even happen. We did it again.
I don't know why we thought we were going to do it again. The first time, though, I will say, the first time we were so motivated.
We smashed it.
We smashed it. The thing is, though, these guys mugged me. Bear in mind, it was me, Prince, and a few other guys. Clem, Adrius. Did Adrius do it?
Adrius does 75 hard every day. That's just his life.
That's fair. That guy's always running, bro. But a few other guys done it, and I remember the first week. I hadn't taken or I hadn't done one of the tasks.
I think it was like the progress photos or something.
The progress photos, because I didn't have the app, so we normally we had the guys did it through an app, and I didn't have the app. And I was just like, guys, come on, you know. I was like, guys, I didn't actually think we were taking progress photos.
Oh no!
And they were like, nah, it's part of the challenge. Yeah, we do the challenge. So then I was 5 days behind everyone else for the whole time. I remember the day you guys finished. And I still had 5 days. Those 5 days were the longest days, bro. Tough. The longest days. And I always encourage people that do the challenge, because a few people have said to me after that. Yeah. After I done it, a few people said, "Oh, I want to try it." And I always say, listen, everything else you'll be able to do. The hardest part is the water, bro.
I think for me, the water and living in the UK, the outside exercise. Because bro, there was times because we did it in winter. We didn't deep that. We were sitting there 45-minute workout in winter every day, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow.
Because we started in October, like early October. Yeah. Finished in December, just before Christmas, and bro, it was
tough.
Like, bro, the outdoor workouts was long, and I remember the first day I done it. Yeah. I went out for a run.
Wait, was you went on a run in a jacket or something?
I went for a run, and there was this field next to my house.
Yeah,
bro, there's a big football pitch, so I was just doing laps on the pitch.
Yeah,
I said, nah, not doing that again, bro. I had to figure out another way to work out outside, bro. It was just not happening. Oh man,
I think like the gym for me, that's when I struggled with them. Like, no, it was that on top of the gym workout, because I was obviously you only do 45 minutes indoors, but I was doing my full gym workout. So not only was I doing that, then I had to then somehow squeeze another 45 minutes outside on top of an hour and a half of working out already. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
I was like, hey.
Yeah, no, that was. It was fun though.
Yeah.
Especially doing it with other people.
Yeah,
it was fun, but it was a good time because I feel like there wasn't a lot going on at that time anyway.
Yeah.
So we had the chance to kind of just really go for it.
Yeah,
and
100%.
like, doing it again. I think we tried to do it beginning of like.
I can't
was it this year? Was it? No,
it was last
year.
year. It was last year. Mid, like first quarter of the year or like second quarter. Of the
year.
Yeah,
I remember we tried to do it again, and it was just we just said to ourselves, "Why are we doing this stuff?"
It's because I think once you've done it once, you kind of get to the point where it's like, "Why did I do it again?"
Yeah,
you've really got the quote unquote.
Especially if you've got the habits already like nailed down. Because I started drinking a lot more water afterwards.
Same.
Not a gallon. No way.
Yeah, that gallon was crazy.
No, not a gallon. Stop drinking the water as much, but I was still going gym.
Yeah.
There's no need for me to do an outdoor workout if I'm going gym. I'll be sorry.
Yeah, I'll be right.
And
even the reading thing, I tried to read a lot more after doing that as well.
Yeah, I can't lie, I didn't. The reading for me was just long. I read a lot, but I'm not someone that like enjoys reading.
Right. Okay.
So I'm more like of a like. If I was to get information, it'd be more like videos or listening to something.
Yeah.
I feel like I retain more information. Reading for me, it's just long. It's just, man. Nah. Do you know what I mean?
Big brown.
Bro, the thing is, no, I can read. Don't do that. I can read. I can read very well. I can read out loud. Yeah. I just prefer if I am gonna like
take
learn
information.
Something. Yeah, I'll just rather like do videos. That's why even with my course, I prefer to go to school and do it rather than just read about. Yeah, do you know what I mean? But. No, I mean that's good. So obviously like you've shown a lot of your lifestyle. What are some goals that personally you would like to achieve out with the business? Just on yourself, obviously you've talked about your fitness and you've talked about moving to LA and stuff like that. Like what would?
So yeah, obviously moving to LA, that's a big one. It's a big one. Like for even again reasons outside the business, like I just move. Even if it's not outside of LA, but just I think just move to another country. Like I've been here for basically my entire life. Like I moved here when I was 6. So it's all I know.
Yeah.
So, and having traveled a lot this last year or two, I wanna do more of that, but more for longer terms. Even if I'm not necessarily moving to those places like permanently, but just to say, okay, I'm gonna spend 3 months in Dubai or 3 months in US.
Would you do because a lot of people would like to go to Australia, and obviously you used to live in Australia.
Yeah, in Perth.
Yeah. Would you ever go back and do like? I know people get like the working visa, do it for a year. Would you ever do that?
Yeah, honestly, I fully would. Like, I don't know. I've just kind of gone to a point in my life where I'm like, I just want to do everything. I just literally just want to do as much. Like before I was kind of set on like, okay, like I'm gonna build a business and like I'm gonna move to maybe Manchester or London and that. And I am still trying to build a business, but I think I'm now starting to get to a point where I'm like, I need to have a life outside the business really, and I also want to experience stuff that's outside the business. So right now I'm trying to figure out how do I do both at the same time. How do I build a business and still have like some good income and do what I love to do for a living, whilst also still going out and experiencing new things and making new memories. Whether that be like you said, go to Australia for a year, maybe do some work out there, or again go to I don't know even Southeast Asia. Yeah. So might potentially have a trip going there at the end of this year. So we'll see how that goes. But if you do go, and if that was to go, if I like it there, and it's a lot cheaper than here, I'll take that for free. I mean, so wouldn't even mind doing a stint there as well, a few months there, see how I like it and stuff. So yeah, I think so. Moving away, and then I think the goal would just be, get to a point where like, even just physically, like, just got a few physical kind of milestones, like get to a certain weight. I want to try and go for a 6-pack. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I don't know how.
You used to hate 6-packs though.
I genuinely, and I still don't really care for it, but I just want to set that goal and get it, and then say even if just say at some point
you had one.
I had even if I get rid of it the next day, just eat burgers and all that stuff the next day. I don't care. But I just want to, I don't know, I just want to aim for something and achieve it. That sort of thing. Those are kind of the two main goals for now.
Yeah.
Like I think until those are set, it's kind of hard for me to plan really further than that goal wise, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because those are kind of, well, not even the abs one, to be fair, but even just like the actual moving side of things, or just figuring out the business side of things. So
yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, one more thing on your personal like things, and then we'll go back to the business side of things. I think. How do you balance like your work life? Obviously, like once you're a busy person, like you've got shoots, you travel, you've done a few shoots abroad. What's one thing that you just like you enjoy doing outside of just like work, gym?
Yeah.
Like how do you unwind? How do you like actually like, because it's important to to actually like have time for yourself and just be like, alright, cool, I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like what does that look like for you?
I didn't even going back to basics, man. Like films, TV, that sort of thing. Like again, like it's what I started with, even got me from the career side of things, but career aside, like I just like watching TV. Like I like, for example, start watching a recent show, was it, I think Moblands, I think is something like that. Yeah, and I just enjoy watching the process of like a good story, like a good plot, and just like how that comes about. Even films like, for example, Cinema is meant to be pretty good, and I want to actually go and watch that.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
That's pretty good.
I've heard about that.
Stuff like that. I even just like as well, even just like gaming, for example, like playing video games. Like again, back to basics. Something I used to do as a kid. Something I've always loved to do, like throughout my entire kind of like adulthood and stuff as well. And just spending time with friends. Like I feel I'm quite an extroverted person. Like I like doing stuff with friends. So I'm not someone who can sit at home and not really do anything. I'll be honest. Like I feel like over time that'll drive me crazy. Like which is weird though, because I'm friends with a lot of homebodies and introvert people. Yeah. So it's like I have to like drag them to the house to even like get them out and stuff at the same time. But yeah, I like doing stuff with friends and just going out and just experiencing life, to be honest. Like genuinely just going out and just doing stuff. Like I just love even it genuinely doesn't even need to be anything crazy. It doesn't even need to be like us going flipping skydiving or something. But just the fact that we're actually going out and doing stuff, like how we used to skate, for example. That sort of stuff, like just group activities and us just having fun.
That was a good time period, 2021, 2022.
Yeah, we were active,
and we were doing that jobless, kind of like how we are now.
We've just gone back to basics.
And then hard reset.
Back to basics. Like, cause even stuff like that. I think that was probably some of the most fun I had during that time. Yeah. Because obviously it was still COVID, so like stuff was still kind of closed. But we would just get up and Jay would come pick us up at our houses and like we just go skate for like 4 hours of the day, so 4 or 5 hours.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like, see when you were younger and you would be like, oh, can Thingy come play outside? And you'd be like outside for time.
Or even the class of like at the end of the day, then like the bikes outside someone's yard.
Do you know what I mean? Like and we'd sit there yapping,
just talking nonsense.
Yapping. Then Manda Mondays was formed and things like that.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. But yeah, man, you've done a lot of work in Glasgow, outside of Glasgow. What has been like your most memorable and maybe like even your most favorite projects you've worked on?
One of the most memorable is the first shoot I got abroad. Went to Marbella. Shout out YK, who went out there to do a music video. Yeah. And yeah, bro, like obviously like the shoot is a shoot, but at the same time, it's the fact that, bro, like that was the first time. Like, see if you told me as a kid, right, that I get to go abroad to do a shoot. I'm getting paid to go abroad to do a shoot and stuff. I would have jumped off with joy, bro. I'd have been like, whoa,
no way.
That's crazy. So to me, that's sort of like one of the craziest experiences, to think that I get paid to go abroad and do shoots. Do you know what I mean? Like
that is, to be fair. I remember when you told me, and I was like, wait, so are they paying for your flights? And you're like, yeah, accommodation, yeah, and you're getting paid on top of that, yeah. And I was like,
do you know what I'm saying, bro? Like there's only like those are sort of things where you have to take a step back and be grateful. Like there's no way you can look at that and think that's normal. Or that's like a regular thing to like. Do you know what I mean? So that was definitely one of the most memorable things. Yeah. One of the most memorable things I've ever shot.
And that was interesting because I remember this is when we coined the term 7-figure PG. If you know, you know, innit? But 7-figure PG was coined because this guy was just, bro, he was living the life, bro. Like, I remember you told me, and I was like, okay, fair enough. And then I just see your stories, and it wasn't like you were in like some shack. You were in like an actual like nice Airbnb.
Yeah, it was nice, bro.
You were,
It's very
bro. This guy was rubbing it in all our faces. Man. I'm not gonna lie.
That's
To
what
you.
you know.
But as you should though. I feel like if it was me, I would be doing exactly
Nah, I'd
the same
expect
thing.
the same. Yeah, I'd expect the same.
Do you know what I mean?
I'd
But
expect
fair enough. Like, so obviously, of course, that makes sense. Being
Yeah,
that
that was
memorable.
memorable.
And then,
In terms of fun though, I don't know. You know, I feel like I can't really pinpoint one specific shoot.
or maybe give me like
But-
your top 2.
Top 2. There was one shoot, to be fair, we did. It was me, my friend Danny, and Rebecca. We went to do like a. Wait, was Rebecca there? Yeah, she was. Went to some stuff and like we drove like Loch Lomond kind of far. You were there, yeah, you were there.
I remember that.
I remember that being good fun.
That was fun.
That was good fun because we were literally just messing around in Loch Lomond and
Yeah.
just like filming stuff as we went along. It was good fun. Video turned out alright as well, to be fair.
It was a weird concept. It wasn't weird. It was just like
Hard to imagine. Kind of
yeah. Do you know what he described it to me? And then the more like we filmed, the more I was piecing it together.
Started to
And then when you
figure
edited it, I was like, all right, okay, it makes sense.
out.
Because was it like a Rambo theme thing? It was like a
yeah.
yeah.
There you go, there you
No,
go.
it was good, man. That was a good day.
And then I think for me it's less so about like the pursuit, but I feel like when people are on set and we're just having fun.
Yeah.
I think the shoots I don't like are the ones where it's like the ones I don't have the fun at is where it's like people are just not really into like. Don't get me wrong, like I get like let's say we're shooting early in the morning or whatever, like everyone's tired, you have stuff going on. We have obviously personal issues.
Yeah.
I totally get it. But see when it's like that and everybody's like that, it just gets to the part where it's like it's not fun. Like
it's jarring.
we're all just sitting there in silence and like everyone just looks miserable and
Yeah.
the energy's not there.
Yeah.
I think for me the
no, I
most
get it.
fun shoots are the ones where it's like everyone's present, everyone's chilling and like we're all just talking and yapping and just having fun. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what I feel like even me, you, Rebecca and Zaim, for example, back in like 2021, even Lewis and Washington stuff, like the studio 101 lot basically.
Yeah. That was
I think,
that
like-
was a good time because I remember
Do you know
that
what I
even then we were in there all the time.
Yeah.
Even if we weren't making content that day, we would be in there, like bouncing off ideas.
Yeah, like,
trying
come
to
up
get
with stuff to
come
do,
up with
do you
stuff
know
to do.
And yeah, actually, I will say the most fun one actually on that note is the 90 shoot that we did at the Studio 101.
Yeah,
That was a lot of
that
fun.
was
That was
fun.
a lot of fun.
Yeah,
That was a lot of fun. And again, come back to what I was saying, like because we're just there, we're all friends anyway.
yeah,
We just came there to shoot some stuff together. So it was basically just us having a laugh and taking photos as we did it. And I think that's kind of the best way to go about it.
yeah. No, 100%.
If you're all friends and stuff as well.
100%. Okay, last question. This is like the mandatory WHOIS question. If somebody was to follow in your footsteps, what
Yeah.
advice would you give them?
I say consistency over everything.
Yeah,
One thing I feel like consistency and applying pressure over everything. I think one thing I see a lot of people who are very talented and they know what they want to do and they know they're very smart and they're very like everything just kind of makes sense apart from the fact that they're not being consistent.
Jeremy.
Damn.
No, I'm always gonna come from, bro. I'm always gonna
Damn.
come from, but I'll
You're
continue.
not wrong.
Sorry.
But damn. Nah, do you know what I mean? And I just feel like that lack of consistency, unfortunately, is the difference between you getting to your goals and not.
Yeah,
And I feel like I'm testament of that because anybody who knows me knows that I'm a fairly consistent person.
yeah,
So you would be able to track, okay, from when he started to now, he's been this consistent, and therefore he's done things.
yeah.
And I think if anybody wants to really, truly make a name for themselves as they claim they do, or like even just like achieve the goals that they want,
yeah,
they need to just come in, show up day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. Even if it's only a tiny bit, it doesn't need to be like you change the world tomorrow, but just the fact that you're waking up one day and saying, look, I'm gonna plan this shoot I'm gonna do in 2 years. The fact that you even being intentional about doing that, that alone is enough. That sort of mentality alone will take you to that shoot in 2 years' time, and you'll smash that shoot in 2 years' time. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would say personally.
Perfect. Well, that's really been it, guys. Thanks to Prince for allowing me to interview him. And,
Thanks to you for the interview.
of course, man. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Easy.